So in the scientific community now, people are embracing what's called life cycle analyses to look at all of the various inputs and the impacts that they have when you take something from the farm all the way to having it at your fork. So when you do that and you look at a kilogram of beef, the equivalent of 36 kilograms of carbon dioxide are emitted for that. If we look at pork, it's about 6 kilograms, so it's 6 times more efficient. But if we look at dry peas or beans, it's about 0.6. We look at that another way. Dry beans, peas, adequate source of protein per kilogram are about 60 times more efficient in terms of greenhouse gas emissions than a kilogram of beef. Quite striking. So basically, plant-based diets are far more sustainable than diets based on grain-fed meat. Reducing our consumption of industrial-produced meat will greatly reduce the emissions of greenhouse gases. And in addition to that, we also face challenges in terms of plant-based agriculture. It's not just animal-based. We have to deal with the fact that most of our plant-based agriculture relies on fossil fuels, both as for mechanized inputs and also for fertilizer. So we need to move away from this, of course, looking at the non-renewableness of fossil fuels. We have to increase the use of legumes, that would be clovers and alfalfas, in order to make up for the nitrogen that we'll lose through the synthetic nitrogen that we won't be able to use in the future. And also we need to actually integrate livestock in a synergistic way in which livestock wastes, as they've been used historically, are actually used as fertilizers on farms to recouple those cycles. And then what I do want to say also is that just reducing meat and also increasing the sustainability of agriculture is not necessarily going to address the current food crisis. So that even if we take all the grain, or if we free up all the grain from all the meat that we eat, it won't solve the hunger problem because it's not caused by lack of food. It's caused by lack of access to food because of lack of purchasing power of the poor. So we need to address its root, which is poverty. And so I see the following as essential. We have to understand that our current economy actually concentrates power in the hands of the wealthy, and as Howard was saying, they have undue influence over our politicians. We also have to free ourselves of the ideology that free markets are going to solve our problems, and instead see that the rules of the market, we actually have to set them by society to serve social goals. So in terms of solving the food crisis, we can talk about that at great length, but we basically need to allow developing countries to pursue food security policies rather than being opened up to our subsidized grains. And also we have to empower the rural poor, give them access to land and the means to produce. A deeper democracy is basically what I'm talking about. So basically to conclude, in the face of global warming and its quickening pace, we need to make wide-sweeping changes, I would say, and fast. In the industrialized world, these changes include both changes in our diets, also in our transportation habits, and the design and the place we live in terms of houses and cities. If we feel any sense of obligation to future generations and also to other people on the planet and to other organisms, I think we should dramatically reduce our meat consumption. Our diet should be primarily plant-based. But it's not just necessarily up to us, it's also up to us to influence policy. So we need to make the days of emitting greenhouse gas emissions with impunity, we have to end that, basically. We need regulations, we need incentives, a combination of those, and green taxes that will tax those most environmentally damaging activities. Before I end, I was going to pose a question to Supreme Master Ching Hai, and that is, we've heard a lot about industrialized meat production. We've, I'd say, made a good case in terms of going vegetarian, especially in industrialized countries. But there's also charges of neocolonialism when the first world tells the third world what to do, or the developing countries. So what do you think about vegetarianism and herding cultures, say the Fulani or the Bedouin, in charges of neocolonialism?
Thank you, Professor God. Yes, thank you for bringing this up. You see, anything natural, it should be good. Otherwise, of course, it's not good. But once our planet social structure is stabilized and the economy is in full bloom everywhere, due to vegetarian diet and the blessing of heaven and the new technology, etc., etc., then I think the herding practice will also be absorbed naturally, as they are just a small percentage anyway, compared to the organized meat industry as a whole. We, of course, should spread out the great benefit of veganism and elevate our spiritual level to an extent so that all humans will understand that only a noble, compassionate way of life, such as vegetarian lifestyle, is truly sustainable and benefit human as we are the crown of the creation. And by the way, Jane, you have forgotten. Mr. Al Gore has made a surprise visit to a meeting in Austin, Texas. On the 19th of July, he was speaking to the internet-savvy political activists there. It's a Net Roots Nations conference. When one journalist asked him about a vegetarian diet, he said it is true that vegetarian diet is good for people's health and can save the planet. So he did say something, maybe not on the web, but he did say elsewhere.
Excellent. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I think he also began vegetarian diet already. I mean, not completely, but maybe half or two-thirds already vegetarian. It's not that easy for many people, I have to say, because these are new to them. And they probably think, what? Without meat, how am I going to live? They forgot the cow and the elephant. They are so big and they live only on grass and simple leaves even.
Thank you very much, Master and Professor. We'd like to open the floor again to some questions from the audience.
My name is Denise Martin, and I work for Starlight Starbright Children's Foundation. As you may know, we work with seriously ill children, and my concern is always for the welfare of the vulnerable and the young around the world. As this is a humanitarian question, my question is to Supreme Master Ching Hai. Given the threat we all face, how can we bring to public awareness the plight children face, particularly in relationship to diet and environment?
Miss Martin, how are you? Thanks for the good work that you've been doing for these unfortunate children. Good question, good question. You see, Miss Martin, according to all the scientific and medical evidences, most sickness come from meat eating. It's avoidable if we follow wholesome diet of plant-based food. If the parents are not well, then the children born will also be affected, as has been proven through scientific and medical research. Even before they come to the world already, the children, many have been affected by the unwellness, by the disease of the parents.